The standard image of private aviation is often a sterile, high-end cabin bathed in soft, natural light. Public perception focuses on customized comfort and the total elimination of terminal wait times. Passengers can arrive at the airport just 20 minutes before departure, bypassing public security lines entirely. Once seated, unrestricted access to electronics and high-speed Wi-Fi creates an environment tailored for uninterrupted business. However, this luxury is a highly engineered facade that masks a far more chaotic operational reality. Maintaining a seamless journey requires navigating a labyrinth of international permits, rigorous maintenance logs, and constant regulatory compliance. Mechanically, the hardware of a private jet functions almost exactly like a commercial airliner, despite the vastly different results for the passenger. The industry's core objective is the systematic neutralization of the logistical friction that defines traditional travel. Both commercial airliners and private jets rely on the same fundamental turbofan engine technology to achieve flight. Private operators must also follow the same strict Federal Aviation Administration guidelines for safety and maintenance. Because the hardware and the safety rules are identical, the premium cost is subsidizing an invisible layer of the operation. Reliable, on-demand flight depends on a parallel, high-velocity infrastructure designed to separate the traveler from the tarmac's chaos. The commercial airline industry is locked into a rigid geography of fixed timetables and predetermined routes. This chart shows the primary constraint. Commercial traffic is artificially bottlenecked because it must compete for space at roughly 500 major airport hubs. Routing millions of passengers through these specific nodes leads to unavoidable layovers, delayed connections, and holding patterns. Layered over that congestion is a distinct parallel geographic grid utilizing over 5,000 secondary airports. This network allows for fluid, point-to-point routing, keeping aircraft entirely clear of centralized commercial hubs. This grid grants direct access to secondary cities and remote markets without a connecting flight. Landing at smaller regional airports reduces ground transfer times, placing executives closer to their actual destinations. Once airborne, private jets typically operate above 40,000 feet. This reduces aerodynamic drag to increase fuel efficiency, while bypassing the commercial traffic below. Ground teams utilize advanced GPS and real-time weather data to constantly adjust the aircraft's routing mid-flight. Geography is the first layer of friction eliminated by private aviation, turning a spatial limitation into a mathematical advantage. Accessing this secondary grid requires passing through a specific gatekeeper, the Fixed Base Operator, or FBO. The FBO handles fueling, maintenance, and expedited customs away from the public terminal. Bypassing the main terminal requires adherence to highly specialized compliance standards, specifically FAA Part 135 certifications. Private jet operators undergo continuous maintenance checks to maintain these Part 135 operational licenses. Charter companies also use independent safety audits, like the Argus rating system, to prove their adherence to international safety standards. Because of this controlled environment, light private jets carrying between 4 and 8 passengers are legally granted specific security exemptions. Conversely, larger charter jets configured for 61 or more passengers trigger mandatory TSA-style baggage and passenger screening. International flights require coordination, where FBOs secure sovereign landing rights and bespoke clearances from the International Civil Aviation Organization. These clearances cover expedited immigration processing and specific documentation for passengers and pets. The privacy of these flights is a functional outcome of the specialized regulatory protocols managed by the FBO. This ledger displays a baseline charter rate of $15,000 per flight hour. The rate covers high-volume fuel burn, FBO ground coordination, and constant routing optimization. Significant costs also come from empty leg routing, where an aircraft flies without passengers to position itself for the next client. The hourly rate subsidizes these deadhead flights to ensure absolute on-demand availability for the user. Operators must constantly balance payload and weather data to optimize these massive fixed costs. Corporate executives often use jet cards with locked-in rates to shield their budgets from this volatile background math. The economics of private flight primarily fund the network keeping the jet ready, rather than the physical flight itself. Commercial airlines utilize rigid ticketing systems, while private charters rely on fluid, itinerary-based booking. Passengers receive a digital itinerary detailing the crew manifest and synchronized ground transfers instead of a traditional ticket. Digital-first brokerages and jet card platforms merge this fleet scheduling with personalized concierge services. Modern logistics operators weave sustainability into the backend, calculating carbon offsets and sustainable aviation fuel deployment without user intervention. The entire digital front-end exists to abstract the heavy mechanical and logistical backend from the traveler. For the global executive, the luxury of the cabin is secondary to the efficiency of the route. For corporate strategists, the private jet functions as a productivity tool designed to maximize working hours. Bypassing commercial hubs and automating regulatory clearance is how the industry bends time to the passenger schedule. Ultimately, the primary investment in private aviation is the bypass of the friction inherent in global travel.